All right, so welcome back to the studio with me, Oluwakayode. This is The Conversation right here on Lagos Talks at 1.3 FM. Today we're looking at insecurity. We just concluded that interview with Bridget Osakwe of WANEP, West African Network for Policy and for Peace Building, rather. And she joined us for that, a very interactive conversation. So right now we have joining us virtually, Col Hassan Stan-Labo, retired. He is a military strategist and a security consultant. He's also the convener of Fix Nigeria Now. But the reason for this interview is simple, because sometime in August, there was a video of terrorists at the Nigeria Army University Campus for Security and Strategic Studies, or what you also call the Toko Burata Institution for War and Peace in Biu, Borno State. To many Nigerians, it was strange and frightening, a military institution under attack. That was scary, but unknown to most of us, there was more to come. Soon after, the attacks have taken a new dimension, more brazen, closer home. With every attack, a clear message is sent. Nigeria Defense Academy, Abuja Kaduna train, Kaduna Airport, or church attack, Kuje prison in Abuja, the president's convoy in Katsina, that was before the Muslim break, the holiday, and now the presidential guard. What can be more brazen than this? Now, don't get me wrong, there have been more attacks in Kaduna, Zamfara, Plateau States, and other places during this period. But I'm looking at the affront, the boldness, the wild, wild west moves of the terrorists that appears to have come to stay. Growing up in the 80s, I remember my dad used to sing one song, and it goes this way, if you remember. Bikule okpani, tode ole pani, ajonje, ajomu, aomeni tobinu eni. But anyway, before foreign winch, let me just interpret it to you. Before foreign winch attack you, the home winch must get hand inside. So the question is, what really is going on with security in Nigeria? So I'm asking you today, how safe are Nigerians? I know you might not have that question, but that is why we have the Colonel joining us this morning. Good morning, Colonel, and welcome to the conversation.
Morning, Kayode, and thank you for having me.
All right, so thank you for joining as well. It's a pleasure to have you here. That's your first time we're having you here, and we really appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, so as an expert in securities and military strategies, one would say that in 2015, during the build-up to elections, Nigerian army went all out, and they were recovering territories in Borno and making sure the state is safer to accommodate the election 2015. But such is not the case here. We are like 10 months or 9 months to election, and it seems that rather than an onslaught on terrorists, the terrorists have turned the tides and they are rather attacking. But we know that in politics, every government in power would like to have this win in the last end, the last term, or the last leg of his, stay in power, to prove to the people that I am the better one to stay. So I'm asking this morning, Colonel, does this indicate that what the people say, that government is confused, or is it what they say, that there is a bit of some people are complicit in power? What is really going on with the security in Nigeria?
Thank you so much, Kayode. All the negatives you have just reeled out now, confusion,
being complicit,
lots of direction, whatever. Yes, you mentioned it. They are all included in what I call the eclectic mix of misdirection, which we have currently ongoing, flowing out most especially from what I perceive as the political strategic level, that is right from the top. Okay? There seems to be this complete lack of direction in the way governance is currently ongoing generally. And as it affects the execution of this war, we see a situation where all sorts of, instructions and directives are not well tailored in such a manner that at the end of the day, there is much confusion in execution. Let me not even tread that path now.
Okay.
There are all sorts of things which we ought to have been doing or which we ought to have done right from 2015 when we took over with a slight, what I'll call a slight manageable situation, only to find ourselves in the complete mess we are right now.
Okay.
We've failed to take certain steps that would have by now been what I'll call force levelers for us. One, Kayode, we failed to address the issues of manpower. Are we saying as at that 2015, we never knew we had serious issues with manpower cutting across the entire national security sector? That is the military, the police, and what have you. The deficits we suffer in manpower is telling so much today on us. And the belligerents we are fighting with are very, very, very aware and knowledgeable, such that they know that given our deficit in that area, all they need to do is to see that they dissipate their forces all over. And that is why you find that the entire country now is suffering. And we don't have enough manpower to also dissipate around. I don't know if you get my
I do, but I have one question, which is that are we talking manpower in terms of military or the entire security architecture? Because we have the police. What role is the police playing in this? Or are they completely overwhelmed?
Kayode, besides the issue of being overwhelmed, the entire military is overwhelmed. We are overwhelmed as a nation. Let's call a spade a spade.
Okay.
We need to analyze these things in proper perspective and then know how we begin to find solutions to them. When we begin to deny certain facts, then I can tell you we have lost it. We must accept first and foremost that look, the belligerent force is not as weak as we probably thought it is. Our description of the belligerent force as some ragtag army bullshit. These guys know what they are doing. The guys behind the so-called ragtag chaps you are seeing in the field, the guys behind them are highly knowledgeable, highly informed, and they are loaded too financially, and they've got good backing. So what else do you expect? Now, the issue of manpower, which we are saying, what of the police and so on, let me come back to yes. What is the strength of the police compared to what it should be? What is the prescription of the UN in terms of police force in policing a nation? Is it not about 400 or so to a man? What is our police force? Is our police force up to 350 or even 400,000 in number? What stops Nigeria from having a police force of about 1 million man strength? What stops Nigeria from having a military force of about 1 million man strength? I'm talking about even just only the army. We are suffering high deficiency in manpower, and I expect this to be beefed up by we opening up on training institutions. We have only Zaria Depot, which is the only entry point now for soldiers. Why NDA, of course, for the officers. But I'm not concerned about the soldiers because the deficit as for officers is not so high yet.
Okay.
Can't we open a training depot in the west and in the east? For Christ's sake, what is stopping us? Look at the issue of funding. Yes, we have pumped some money into funding the military, but have we taken the time to monitor and evaluate what is going on with funding? There's so much corruption in the system, both at the political and military arm and what have you. So some of the money you are pumping in is going down the drain. Secondly, some of the money you are pumping in is going into projects that have no business with you executing this for.
Okay, what kind of projects in particular?
Yes, I'm going into that. We are executing a work and we are busy building a military university in Biu or in Borno State or whatever, and so on. We are diverting resources into areas where we are not supposed to divert resources into.
And what you're saying now, Yeah, what you're saying now is critical, which was going to be my next question, which is,
yes, please.
Yeah, we've spent so much. The last, I was doing my research and I realized that, yes, we got about weapons worth 17 million thereabout from the U.S. in last year, $17 million. Yes. And we're spending so much. But are we spending right? Because it is quite alarming to know that in spite of the state of security in Nigeria, the Kuje prison does not have a CCTV camera. And also to understand that a lot of the attacks and the NDA and Kuje prison, it indicates that the people were caught unawares. So what are we spending on surveillance? I mean, managing and controlling the area where these institutions are based. Are we doing the spending right? That is even outside the embezzling that they've been accused of or mismanagement.
Kayode.
Yes, sir.
I just talked about the way we manage the funding. We are releasing the money, but it is going into the wrong direction. And there is no proper oversight. Do we have standing committees on defense and the various arms of defense within the house?
We do.
Or in the house?
Mm-hmm.
Good. What, for heaven's sake, is their responsibility and what's their job?
They're about to go on strike.
I expect a situation where, having passed a budget, as it concerns your own committee, defense committee, and you say, Army this, Navy this, Air Force this, that, and so on. You have to purchase this, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do that. Won't you follow up on that? That is what now we call the oversighting. Won't you follow up to the field to see what is happening? This is where a lot of things are lacking. And then we know that, or I know that the bulk of the members of such committees, if not all, are often made up of civilians. Nothing stops such a committee from falling out and bringing in consultants like us, people who have military experience in the past, who have been involved in operations with a wealth of experience behind them, to come in and help guide the committee. This is it. So you just find laymen going into the field in the name of monitoring. So at the end of the day, you discover that monies are wrongly spent, not meeting the operational needs on ground for deliberate reasons anyway, some including corruption. These are the things. So you see, a lot needs to be done, frankly. We need to really sit down, tell ourselves some bitter truth, restructure things, and let things get going.
All right. Now, you made mention of deliberate reasons, and you talked about corruption. But we've also heard accusations of plans of a certain group, probably religious or tribe, to take over Nigeria. There have been counter and accusations upon accusations in that regard. Apart from the corruption, which other deliberate reason is there that is more anti-nation than corruption?
Well, of course, we have all heard of some grand plans, maybe like you are saying, about attempts to take over the country. Let me put it straight: Islamize the country, take it over, Fulanize the country, or whatever, and so. If people are out there to implement whatever the plans they have, well, here we are as Nigerians looking. Let's see how such plans can work out. The only thing I know is that they will create a lot of inconvenience and discomfort to the bulk of Nigerians. At the end of the day, I don't see anything like that going to be possible. It cannot work. If it did not work in the 18th century, when Danfodio came here, I see how it can work in the 21st century. Nothing like that can work. Besides, if you have not Islamized, even those of us from Southern Kaduna, from Zuru, and so on, where you have pockets of Christian community up north, I wonder how you want to Islamize somebody in Akwa Ibom and Rivers State. Some of these things, I laugh over them. You just create problems for the entire nation. Yes, I agree. You create a lot of discomfort, but nothing else can happen. You cannot go beyond that. And at the end of the day, Jehovah will speak. Simple.
All right. Now, earlier you talked about confusion in execution. Now, being a former retired military officer, a member of an elite team, in your days in the military, if you were found in this current state, what would be the steps you would take right now to rescue Nigeria?
Thank you. Thank you, Kayode. First and foremost, I will try to look at the root of the entire problems. Poverty is in the land. The absence or the lack of employment opportunities for the army of youths coming out of school, graduating from schools, and even those that are not even graduating, but of course, who would have been better utilized if only we had established certain vocational training centers and so on. The point I'm trying to make here now is that poverty is in the land, informed by all these issues I've just talked about. Okay? 2, the influx of small arms weapon into our country. We must do something about it. And what do you do? If I were to be in government, or if I were to have the powers, it would be to establish what I call a border protection combat unit with its own air wing and everything, falling on the experience of countries who have similar experience like us and how they have been dealing with it. I'm referring to US border experience, Mexico border experience, and so on. You send people out to study what these guys have done and how successful it has been. And we see how we can implement ours here at a small measure, but effective. I have written a paper on this. I have done a discussion paper on it. I have distributed it to nearly every reasonable table in defense. Here we are till today. I did this over 5 years ago. I have had discussions with people outside this country on how they can be of assistance to us, if they need be, in terms of equipment and logistics to support this initiative. That is it. Now, like we all know, the social contracts which the government has with the people, which, like you know, rests on a bipod. One component of the bipod is the security arm, or the security responsibility of government on us. The other component of the bipod has to do with the welfare. On both sides, government has failed. These issues must be addressed. We could go on and on and on, Kayode.
It's quite a sad picture that is painted anytime we talk about security, and but looking at where we are currently, we've heard issues of like the Kuje prison attack. There were talks that there was intelligence provided before then, not it wasn't acted on. The Abuja train attack, intelligence provided, not acted on. Do you know what is the protocol for intelligence gathering and probably use of non-active security personnel like yours in Nigerian military or defense security structure? Do we have any protocol at all?
To start with, the use of veterans, that's myself and people that fall within my category. Yes, people who with military experience who have served. The use of veterans is strictly at the prerogative of the defense headquarters.
Okay.
If they feel they want to bring in some veterans, fine, they could. And I think just of late, it has become a reality that you need to turn out and pick or call in some of the veterans to be of assistance. I think that initiative is already in the pipeline now. Okay. Maybe they're still on the paperwork and so on. But what some of us have been hammering on which I keep saying, is that given the manpower issues we have, excuse me, given the manpower issues we have,
yes,
we could do a call-up, all right, a general call-up, for instance, of all those who left the army within the last 5 years. I'm talking of soldiers now, not necessarily officers.
Okay.
Yeah. Then you select the capable ones amongst them. Okay? You lay before them a juicy contract. They are coming in now on contract terms to serve their country. Okay? This is what the US does, and it's able to beef up its reserve. You lay a fantastic, attractive, juicy contract on the table for them for a 3 to 5 years service to their country. You give them terms and conditions which any of them that looks at it, it will be very attractive for him to say, okay, let me go in. I'll take 3 years. I'll take 4 years. I'll take 5 years, and so on. So that we can now be able to mop up a huge number of them, and then there will be of assistance. You brush them for another 3 weeks or 2 months, and then they are ready for the field. That's all.
Okay. But,
all right?
Yes.
In this way, it will have helped when you bring in veterans this way. All right? And what was the other aspect of your question again?
No, the protocol in the use of intelligence. Because we've had so many talks on, we had intelligence was provided, DSS and this, yes.
All right, Kavide. The protocol is that intelligence flows from bottom to top. All right? You find a situation where, of course, the lead agency in intelligence is the police. All right? But in the military arm, we look up to the DSS. Whatever the case, the police or even civilians, you and I, veterans or whatever information we get at our level is still information. It's not intelligence.
Okay. All
information we get is all gathered up to the constituted authorities. Either you're the nearest GPO to you, if you're living in a town, you don't have to be running to one army headquarters somewhere. The nearest GPO to you can collect your information. Okay? All these pieces of information are all put together, pushed forward to the top. In the case of the police, of course, they go to their own headquarters. From there, they know the relevant areas where to push them to. But at the end of the day, all information gets mobilized to the DSS. At the DSS now, they get crystallized into what we call intelligence. So gets, mobilized eventually from the police and all other groups. And at the end of the day, while they are stealing information, they must first of all be processed into being intelligence. And that is why it's going through some crystallization and so on. Eventually, the DSS, that's the Department of
State's Secret Service.
Now, yes. Now push this on to government, the relevant tables on government. It is assumed this is pushed to the table of the president. All right?
Okay. Why the choice of assumed?
Commander-in-chief.
Is it not normally pushed there? Why do you use assumed rather than just pushed there? Are there skepticism that it doesn't get to him?
No. Everything gets to the president's table.
Okay.
However, there are certain steps that could be taken at the initial stage, preparatory to. And so those who should probably be engaged in such preparatory steps could be informed. While awaiting a formal directive now from the Commander-in-Chief's table. Do you get me now?
Yes, I do. All right. So in the case where we're told intelligence was provided, not information, now, which means it came from the DSS, and it wasn't used, who should be held responsible and what should be done?
If it wasn't used, the fault is from the presidency. The presidency. Why did I not say the president? I did not say the president because the president is surrounded by a huge, large number of important government functionaries who are all part of the entire presidency arrangement. Who, if something gets to the president's table, of course, they are also in the know. So you expect them to be able to chip in the right advice. I think, sir, we should be doing this by now. I think we should be doing this by now. I think we should be doing this by now. But a situation where everybody just keeps mum and quiet as if nothing has happened. I find it difficult to just place the blame on one man's table.
On one man's table. All right, so it goes beyond.
What role did you play?
It goes beyond hearing from the security chiefs. But it goes beyond hearing from security chiefs, but gets to the presidency. Are we talking of the National Security Advisor and other people, the SAs and co around him? That
those are the elements within the presidency. When you're talking of the presidency, you are now referring to the Secretary to Government, Chief of Staff, NSA, this, that, and that. And so those are the presidency. Those are the elements that make up the presidency.
Wow. So there seems to be, that might be one of the things you referred to when you said confusion in execution, or is it just incompetence?
Complete confusion. Now people don't know what to do. Do I take my left, do I shoot out my left leg or my right leg? Which one is the boss wanting me to shoot out? He's not speaking. He's not saying anything. There is this docility you observe in government. Non-action.
All right, and I haven't spoken about
as if they are deaf and dumb.
And I haven't spoken about that. Non-action. Should Nigerians still have, should I say, faith or confidence that this security challenge or attack on our sovereignty can be resolved by Mr. President?
If you are talking of this, I'm giving you my peace of mind as a soldier.
Yes, please go ahead.
If you are talking of this president, I have lost confidence in him. As a citizen of the Federal Republic,
yes,
I am looking up to 2023, when probably we shall have another president who will be able to address the security issues on ground. I have lost confidence in my government. I have lost confidence in my president. Completely.
Wow. All right, and
as I talk to you,
as we
and I know I speak the mind. Just excuse me.
Yeah,
I know I speak the minds of millions of Nigerians out there. Millions.
Okay, beyond speaking the minds of millions of Nigerians, are you also speaking the minds of millions or thousands of veterans as well?
You're pushing me to an area I don't want to go to.
Okay, I guess we'll bring you on another show to talk about this in detail.
Maybe we should just categorize them under millions of Nigerians without needing so specific.
All right, then. Thank you so much. But as we wrap up, the change in guard, the reshuffle, GOCs and the likes, will that bring about any change in the fights?
It's supposed to be geared towards operational efficiency. I guess that is the main aim behind it. Let's see what level of operational efficiency it will produce. Normally, when things like this happen, you immediately have to look and address some of these issues from the roots, not just at the top. You address it from the roots.
From the roots.
Yes.
All right.
So many reasons could be responsible, including inefficiency, including docility, including absence of proactiveness, and so on.
All right, thank you so much, Colonel, for this. We couldn't really exhaust all we had because we're looking at the fact that the attackers have been said to be non-Nigerians. How are they doing? What do they have collaborators in Nigeria? Who are they? We're looking at so many things. How did it change apart from the time when we were winning the war in 2015 till now? But the discussion on insecurity continues. So we'd like to say thank you for joining us and welcome to the Lagos Talks family, because we'll call on you from time to time for your detailed analysis.
Kayode, I very much appreciate, and I would like to advise that we would take serious care of the moles in government, especially those at the top in government. Right in the cabinet, there are moles. We must speak them out. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, sir. Well, that's the fact. That's what has been stated. That is coming from a veteran, someone who's a consultant, a military strategist, telling us the moles in government need to be addressed. Who are they? What are they? The truth is that, however much of a mole you are, if everything crystallizes, every Nigerian will be affected. Let's keep talking security. Let's keep living our life and on security, and we'll bring him back to let us know from his point of view what can Nigerians do to keep safe, because as it is now, we cannot afford to lose hope. Once we lose hope, everything is done for Nigeria. My name is Oluwakayode. This has been The Conversation on Lagos Talks 91.3 FM.